Okay, class, we are working with something called long division this week. And we're going to start off very easy with what we know. So think about division facts. We have been doing division as almost as long as we've been doing multiplication, right? And so I want you to remember that that division and multiplication go together as part of the fact families, right? So if you know what 3 times 5 is, if you know that it's 15, then you know 15 divided by 5 is 3. Remember, they all go together in fact families. So that's going to be important to know. If you can't think of the division problem, think what times something equals that number. And that's going to help you with your long division. So just remember, multiplication and division go together as part of fact families. Now, we're going to be starting with easy facts that we already know. You can think of the multiplication fact, but we're going to start that way because we're going to build on it. We're going to add another step to our problem. So today's math is pretty easy because you know your multiplication facts, so you're going to know your division facts. However, I want you to be thinking of the steps that we're going to use because we're going to be doing harder division problems where you're not going to have the facts memorized. So I want you to learn the pattern now with facts that you know, and then it'll be that much easier when we get to the harder facts, okay? So I want you to get your math journals, and we're going to just write the steps down, and it's an easy way to remember, okay? So get your journal, pause me if you don't have it yet. Okay, so this is what I want you to write. I want you to write the title, Long Division, because that's what we're doing. Okay, and then here are the steps to help us remember to divide. Can you see that there are a lot of steps? But this is how we can remember. Think of the family: dad, mom, sister, brother, Rover. But you've got to remember it in that order, okay? Dad, mom, sister, it's like the older sister, the younger brother, and the dog, Rover, okay? So that's to help us remember the steps: dad, mom, sister, brother, Rover. And here is what we do. So we do division first. We divide first. Then we're going to multiply. Then we'll subtract. Then we'll bring down. And then Rover repeats everything. So these are the steps, okay? So don't worry if you're like, what in the world am I going to do with all these steps? I'm going to show you. But I want this in your journal so that you can always remember the steps. And as we're working on our math problems, you can go back to look at the steps and check that you've done them all. So this is what I want you to write. Dad divides. Mom multiplies. Sister subtracts. Brother brings down. Rover repeats. Okay, if you don't have that down, go ahead and pause it and get that all written down. And then we're going to write this division problem, okay? So remember, we've been writing a lot of division problems this way, right? But remember, we've also done division problems this way in a division frame, okay? And the way we read this is 18 divided by 3, okay? So you know what this is, right? 18 divided by 3 is 3 times what equals 18? And you should know that it's 16. I'm sorry, that it's 6, not 16, excuse me. But I want to show you the steps, how we do this, okay? So we say, okay, 18 divided by 3. Dad is doing his job. He's dividing 18 divided by 3. And that is 6. And it's 6 ones. So we're going to make sure that our 6 ones go in our ones column. Okay, so it looks like that. Okay, so now what we do is mom multiplies. So she multiplies 6 times 3, and the answer goes right here. Okay, so this is how we do division, not just with our memorized facts, but with long division, we do it this way. Okay, so dad divided. He did 18 divided by 3. He got the answer 6. Mom took that answer, multiplied it by the divisor, and wrote it right here. Okay, so now sister comes up and she's going to subtract 18 minus 18. Wow, that's a tough one, right? And your answer is 0. Now, with something as, with our basic math facts like this, we don't really need to do brother and Rover, but I want you to have that in your journal because we will be doing it later this week with those extra 2 steps. But for now, we can stop with subtract because this is the reason why. We don't have any other numbers in our division box, our division frame, and we've come to 0. So when that happens, when you're dividing, you can stop. You can stop with your steps, because remember, Rover says to repeat, but once we get to 0, we're done. Okay, so now this you already knew. 18 divided by 6 equals 3. You knew that already because it's a basic math fact, but this is the way to do it, long division. So the reason we're doing it this way is to get you used to doing the steps, but you'll know if you're doing it right because you have the math fact for you, okay, your basic math fact. All right, so let's try some on our work text page, 301. All right, so you can see that they have done those basic steps for us. We started with 15 and we are dividing by 3. By the way, the number inside the division frame is called the dividend. The number on the outside is the divisor. That's what we're dividing by. And then the quotient is the answer that goes on top. Okay, so this time Dad divided 15 divided by 3. He said it was 5. Okay, then Mom comes along and multiplies 5 times 3, so you can see it right there, and that equals 15. And then Sister subtracts, so we put the 15 under the 15, and we subtract, and we get 0. That is the steps for dividing 15 divided by 3. So here you can see we have 15 cars. We've divided them into 3 sets, and it means 5 cars in each set. Okay, so we're going to try some together and get used to using those patterns, okay? So you know what the answer should be, right? If we have 24 divided by 4, we're thinking, okay, what times 4 equals 24? Okay, so you should be able to figure out that basic math fact. All right, well, let's look at the picture. We've got 24 cars, and they're put into 4 sets. And how many are in each set? Right. It's 6. So 24 divided by 4 equals 6. And we put our number right here in the ones place because it's 6 ones. Okay? And 24 divided by 4 equals 6. Dad just did his job. Okay? And now Mom has to do her job. Okay? So Mom takes this quotient and multiplies it by the divisor. So we do 4 times 6. Right? 4 times 6, and that equals 24. So you write that there, 24. All right, and now do you remember what the next step is? Dad did his job, Mom did her job, Sister comes next, okay? So she's going to take this 24 and subtract the 24. We need to write the 24 there. Sorry, after we multiply, we write the answer right here. Sorry about that. And then Sister subtracts those. So 24 minus 24 equals 0. And we can put it right here in the division frame also. It's 0. And you can put a 0 in the tens place if you want. It doesn't matter because 0 ones and 0 tens is still 0, whether you have 1 to 0 or not, right? Okay, and so when we get to zeros at the bottom, we're done, okay? So here's our answer, 6. So 24 divided by 4 equals 6. Okay, let's try number 2, 12 cars divided into 3 sets. So we can think about this. We can think of the basic math fact. 12 divided by 3 equals, and if you're not really sure, you're thinking 3 times what equals 12? So hopefully you know that's 4, right? Okay, so Dad's going to divide. 12 divided by 3 equals 4. 4 ones. Make sure it goes in the ones column in the quotient. Okay, and so we'll write that step. Dad divides. So 12 divided by 3 equals 4. So make sure you've got this all set up. Remember, this is the dividend. That's what's getting divided. 3 is my divisor. So I say 12 divided by 3, and my quotient is 4. My quotient is 4. Okay, so the next step is to multiply our divisor times our quotient. Okay, so we're going to do 3 times 4, and that's what Mom does, right? Mom multiplies. 3 times 4 equals 12, and so we write the answer right under our dividend. We write 12. Okay, and now the third step is sister subtracts. So she does 12 minus 12. Oh, how difficult is that, right? 12 minus 12 equals 0. So now we can stop. Okay, let's try number 3. So we have 18 cars divided into 6 equal sets. So here we have it written for us in the division frame. We have 18 as our dividend. That's what we're dividing into 6 sets. And we want to know how many would be in each. Okay, so think of your basic math facts. 18 divided by 6. If you're stuck, think 6 times what equals 18? It's 3. Yeah, so make sure your 3 goes in the ones column of your quotient. Okay, right above the ones in the dividend. All right, so Dad just divided 18 divided by 6, so that's what we write. 18 divided by 6 equals 3. That's our first step. Our second step is to multiply the 6 and the 3. Okay, so we write 6 times 3, and that equals 18. And so you're going to write that here as well. Your answer to your multiplication, 18. And then our last step is to sister subtracts, right? So we do 18 minus 18 equals 0. And we're going to write it right here also. 18 minus 18 equals 0. Okay, let's do the last 2, and then you guys can try it on your own. Just remember the order of the steps. Remember the steps are up here too. They didn't write Dad, Mom, Sister. That's just our way of remembering it, but the steps are always the same. Okay, so we start with number 4. It's 14 is our dividend, 2 is our divisor. So we have 14, 14 cars divided into 2 equal sets. So how many will be in each set? 7. Yes, if you didn't know 14 divided by 2, you think 2 times what equals 14. Okay, so Dad just did his job, and that was 14 divided by 2 equals 7. Okay, 14 divided by 2 equals 7. Now we're going to multiply our divisor times our quotient. So we say 2 times 7. That's Mom's job to multiply. So 2 times, oops, I started to write a multiplication sign instead of a 7. And that equals 14. So we need to write 2 times 7. We need to write 14 right underneath. And then the last step is sister is going to subtract 14 minus 14. So we write that here. 14 minus 14 equals 0. And when we come down to all zeros at the bottom, we're done. Okay? So remember, there's 2 other steps that are going to come later. Remember, we always just build on what we know. So those other steps are going to be coming later on. But for now, we just need to remember these 3. Dad divides, Mom multiplies, sister subtracts. Okay, so last one, 20 cars divided into 5 equal sets. You're thinking 20 divided by 5. If you can't remember, you're thinking 5 times what equals 20, and that is 4. Make sure you put that in the ones place. Okay, so write down what you just did, what Dad did. 20 divided by 5 equals 4. Okay, then the next step is to multiply. Remember, multiply your divisor times your quotient. So we're saying 5 times 4. That's Mom's job to multiply. 5 times 4 equals 20. Okay, and our last step is to, whoops, we always have to remember to put 20 here because we just multiplied 5 times 4 and we put the answer here. And then sister subtracts. So we do 20 minus 20 equals 0. 20 minus 20 equals 0, and when we get to all zeros, we are done. Okay, so This seems like a lot of work for something you could just do in your head. I get it. But what we're doing is we're checking ourselves, because these are answers we should already know, but we're learning the steps, okay? We're practicing the steps. We're getting that to be a routine, so when we do something harder, we already have the steps in place. So that's what we're doing here. I know it's a lot of work for something you could do in your head, but it's training, okay? It's brain training. Okay, so on the back, you're going to do the same thing, okay? You're going to follow all those steps. Divide first, multiply, subtract. Go back and look at the front if you get stuck. Okay, and then you've got a few multiplication problems down at the bottom. Okay, I'm looking forward to seeing you follow those steps correctly.